So if you're watching, checking in, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, let me know what you are thinking. It's really always very nice to hear from people, and this segment is proof that I actually do listen to what people are thinking out there. And Kelly, a very good friend. We've had a lot of different disagreements on things here and there, but I value his opinion, and that's why I have him on the show. And he actually suggested this topic. Is cancel culture a real thing? And so I figured I would let you introduce this, Kelly, and let me know what you're thinking. Because honestly, I think it's ridiculous. I think cancel culture is definitely a real thing. But you have the floor.
Yeah. This is definitely one of our biggest disagreements. I think I'll go a little bit longer on this, but I think I could sum up that question with no, it's not, and move on. But no, I mean, I think maybe you singled out one of the only guys to ever be successfully canceled, Billy Bush, earlier. But I mean, look, Louis C.K. is still booking shows. You've got Rob Lowe out there, who's killed his career a couple of times over at this point. And I saw him in a commercial earlier today. There's tons of people who have gone down for the only thing that is. A lot of these people who, so-called victims of cancel culture, the ones who aren't successfully still doing their jobs are in prison. The whole idea that your job's going to be gone because somebody talked bad about you doesn't really work when you see so many people successfully doing it. Again, it's the Louis C.K. thing. Sure, he's less successful than he was, but he's still getting gigs.
That is true, but yeah, when I actually first started, I'm like, okay, I think this is ridiculous because people get canceled, and there are definitely instances where people have come back. Johnny Depp is an interesting one there for sure.
Back and forth a couple times,
and it's interesting with Johnny Depp now because I don't know if you're out there following this, but of course. He had domestic violence allegations with his wife Amber Heard, but it has now since come out that a lot of that was really all Heard being crazy. But I think this is an interesting thing about this is that Depp has tried to get justice for himself going after Amber, and now that's what's hurting his career. Like basically, people in Hollywood are like, you need to kind of let this go, but that's an interesting development.
It's funny that you brought that one up, because I was talking about, Rob Lowe had those allegations of sexual harassment and then sued the people behind that. I think he may have even preemptively sued them before the allegations came out. So we have seen that a couple of times. And the Johnny Depp stuff is very interesting because, I mean, on a lot of this, we'll never know. It is truly a literal he said, she said, and you have people with very strong opinions, out there pulling for Johnny Depp or for Amber Heard. So that's a bit of an interesting case, but it doesn't seem to have weighed on his career too much other than just, like you said, constantly keeping himself in the news in a bad way. So maybe, any PR is good PR isn't always true.
I mean, I think the big thing with folks like, who can kind of maybe survive this cancel culture, and there's definitely, I mean, you could bring a good point about people being in prison. Obviously, Weinstein, he can't recover from his stuff because he's in jail right now. Well, actually, he's not. I think he got out because of the COVID stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, he got out because he's rich. Wow.
Well, yeah, for sure. And then, one of the things I'm interested in is this My Pillow guy. And when I kind of was thinking about this a little bit, does it exist? And I thought a little bit about this My Pillow guy because you'd think that he would be canceled immediately with some of the stuff that he's done over the last couple weeks. And I didn't even realize about this, but he's got an interesting story. He actually used to be addicted to crack cocaine, and then started My Pillow. And they started out. He only had a couple employees, and now they're booming, and he's a millionaire. But in case you missed it over the weekend, he went into the Oval Office to meet with President Trump, and he carried a binder in there. Or he carried a couple papers in there. A photographer snapped a picture, and some of these papers had outline plans. You know, they're talking about martial law and all this kind of stuff. And so I was kind of like, oh, My Pillow's in some serious trouble, but probably not.
No, I mean, we're the average American is not who the My Pillow guy is marketing to. He's about the only advertiser left on Tucker Carlson's show. It's really just promos and My Pillow ads over and over and over and over again during their breaks. The Olive Gardens and stuff of the world, left for greener pastures a while ago. Although I will say, since we're on the My Pillow guy, I thought, really, guy just doesn't walk the walk on, supporting this country that, people brought up time and time again. We're looking at the tremendous number of National Guardsmen stationed in Washington, D.C. right now. We see, these guys just crashed out in the hallways, sleeping on their rucks. This could have been a great moment for him to step up and, hand out a My Pillow to every single one of those guys. And not a pillow in sight, not a pillow to be found.
I know one of my favorite things I saw on Twitter lately was someone was like, "Who's Joe Biden's pillow guy? He doesn't have a pillow guy. This is a problem for the country. Joe Biden does not have a pillow guy." But again,
what are we going to do if we don't know what Joe Biden's pillow guy thinks about the economy?
Exactly. You need a pillow guy there. And again, you saw a comment there, wondering what we're chatting out about. But again, the question is cancel culture a real thing? And I do think, as I was kind of pondering this question, I have thought about it a little bit since you mentioned it. And I do think that one of the interesting things with this whole cancel culture thing, like you mentioned, usually this boils down to celebrities. And there's definitely people who have been canceled as part of like the Me Too movement. Like, there's the guy who was the Today Show host. He has been heard from since he's been canceled. Bill O'Reilly, who was one of the top folks on Fox News. He is definitely, he's still around, but he's definitely...
O'Reilly's having some success. I don't think he's a good example. I think he's a better example from my side of the chart.
Well, what I was going to get to is that I think where a lot of this cancel culture stuff comes to is that, like, we mentioned celebrities there, right? We mentioned folks like Bill O'Reilly, people who have these big kind of media platforms, these big kind of, they have a lot of exposure.
You look at more like what's it like if you're a local Nazi?
Well, exactly. But I'm like, if you're someone on Twitter, and again, as we've talked about, there's folks who, make a living off of being, Twitter personalities, being influencers, being out there. But, if you are making your money on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, and all of a sudden you say something horrible and you get banned from one of those sites, well, then that takes away your income. That kind of can shut you down there. And a lot of those folks, they don't necessarily have the main media following. I think one of the interesting things, like there's a guy, so I always go on about this Pat McAfee guy. I love this Pat McAfee guy, Pat McAfee show. But there's another commenter on there. So he has about 1.2 million subscribers, doing real good. There's another guy I follow, Brian Tyler Cohen. He posts a lot of, and I follow a lot of his stuff. It's one of those things. He sometimes goes off the deep end about, goes on all kinds of rants about, about politics, and can all seem very, I'll see maybe sometimes extreme to me in a little bit in some ways. But he, he has a ton of subscribers. He's a huge following. He's had Kamala Harris on the show. He's had senators on the show. Huge following online.
Right. Pretty legit.
But you don't see him anywhere else. You only see him on YouTube. Like, he doesn't really have a big mainstream media following. And so if he said something that could get him in trouble with YouTube and get cut off immediately, then he loses his everything,
Right, but at the same time, we see guys like Jeffree Star, repeatedly, and he's a famous for being famous kind of guy, repeatedly stirring stuff up on YouTube. Jake Paul and Logan Paul, both have had some pretty good run-ins with the law, and they're still around, making more money than ever. So I don't think it's real. If we're just going to look on the more political side of things, really the only guys who've gotten banned are the guys who've gotten deplatformed by everyone. The Milos of the world. And that's pretty far oh, well, the line is so far in the distance you can't see it by the time somebody actually gets banned. I will say, though, it does seem like there are maybe content creators on the left who are more likely to lose theirs, smaller ones. You see them shut down on YouTube and stuff that doesn't happen to the Milos until they reach critical mass. But I wouldn't say that cancel culture is real. I mean, because being deplatformed is a different thing. It's just like, you wouldn't say like getting arrested is the same thing as having everybody in your hometown hate you.
Yeah, and I think what it's like, I think when it comes to the cancel culture stuff, and again, we disagree on this point for sure, but I think one of the things is I'm kind of, piecing together some of these influencers and stuff like Milo. I was not a huge fan. I think he definitely did. He did the most provocative shit possible. I mean, it's one of those things like when I do this kind of show, like I actually want to talk about shit that I'm interested in, that I care about, and he does shit just to get attention. He just wants to get attention with what he's doing, and it's one of those things where he's not really trying to have like a fact-based dialogue about anything. He just wants to get attention. But one of the things I think about someone like Milo who has millions and millions and millions of followers, all of a sudden his platform gets taken away from him, and it's not like those millions of followers just disappear, and so maybe they're out there kind of saying, hey, like my guy got canceled. And maybe for you and I, who are maybe probably on like the left line, I mean, I'm more of a moderate. You're definitely more on the left side of things. But for maybe you and I, cancel culture doesn't exist. But for folks out there who maybe don't think the same way,
no. Like I said, I mean, I see smaller people on the left getting their videos pulled, getting shut down. People I've never even heard of. The people rail about it on Twitter that oh no, the show's been taken. I'm like, well, I didn't know it existed, but which kind of sums up Twitter. But no, I mean, I don't. Cancel culture is a weapon to bash your opponent with. To me, it's again, we're going back to the Q Congresswoman wearing the censored mask while giving a speech to Congress on national television. I'm being censored because somebody said they didn't like what I had to say. And it's like, that's not how this works at all.
Yeah.
I think, actually, I'll pull it up. I saw somebody sum this up in a pretty succinct way that, it seems that unconstitutional means I don't like it. Cancel culture, person criticized me and I don't like it. And First Amendment, corporation criticized me and I don't like it. I think that's it's more about people just. I think it's another trope of the liberal media. I think it's just a weapon to bash your opponent with.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of those folks who very upset about Parler getting shut down and saying Parler got canceled, and it's like, well, now they just didn't want to get used. Like Amazon, as we speak, we were going to do a topic before the show. But yeah, Parler's back. Parler, it's one of those things. Amazon's very big, but they don't own the internet. Well, they're backing away. Actually, let me pull up the Parler site. I thought that was kind of funny. It was trending on Twitter. Parler is back, and here is the actual site. Technical difficulties, so you can't actually get back into Parler again. But they're using they're back online through a Russian server. So if any of you out there were fans of Parler, there is that. Though I will say, as we're we're not in the keeping score here on the show, but one of our nice viewers did chime in and said cancel culture definitely exists. So I will say I think that's 1 Pete.
Oh yeah.
0 Kelly. And actually,
I'll give it to you. This is my.
I can cancel you right now, bro. I just muted your mic. I can't hear anything you're saying. You just got canceled right now.
I don't have any mass to cancel. I don't even have the fan.
Hey man, I'm a big fan of yours, and that is for sure. But yeah, I definitely think this is an interesting conversation to have for sure. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for watching Citizen Pete. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, click that little subscribe button, maybe the like button, and hey,
maybe just leave a comment. You know, I want to know what you're thinking. What do you think about all the politics and news and all the stuff that's going on in our country?